This hopefully will be the last time I read this, just as sort of a disclosure before the meeting here. The governor has issued a disaster declaration related to the public health concerns caused by the statewide COVID-19 pandemic. As chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals, I've determined that an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent because of the risk of exposure to COVID-19 virus stemming from an indoor gathering, and that a remote meeting is in the best interests of the health and safety and welfare of the board, staff, and general public. All right, would you call roll, please?
Sure. Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Schaub. Mr. Blakeney.
Here.
Ms. Brand.
Here.
Mr. Penn.
Here.
Mr. Palmgren.
Here.
Mr. Sampson. He is not here.
Okay, so we have the 5. All right, but yes, as stated before, we do have a quorum. Could I have any suggestions, comments, changes, concerns regarding the minutes from our last month's meeting? And if we don't have any, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I can make that motion to approve the minutes. This is Keith.
Tony, the second.
If you would call for a vote, please.
Sure. Mr. Blakeney.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll abstain
Excellent.
because I wasn't at last month's meeting.
Okay. Ms. Brand.
Yes.
Mr. Penn.
Yes.
Mr. Palmgren.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes. And then I need to say all those in, well, no, we've already taken the vote. So minutes are approved.
Yep.
Sorry about that. I'm getting,
Indeed. Yes.
chairing some other boards, and so I get a little, my apologies. All right, so we have 3 items on our agenda tonight. The first one is item number 21-06-06-V. It is a parking pad variance located at 312 Bob White Way. Before we get started here, Ms. Davison, if you have any backstory you'd like to share with us to get started with, I would appreciate it.
Sure. So this is pretty straightforward. This is a family that recently purchased the property on Bob White, and a parking pad was installed next to the driveway, and they didn't know that this in its current configuration doesn't meet code. As you may recall, this would meet code if they extended the concrete back so that a car could be parked along the side of the house behind the face of the garage. Staff has long been planning to amend the code to just clean this up because it doesn't really make sense that code would permit more concrete rather than less concrete. So we recommend in favor of it. We don't have a timeline for a code amendment. It's merely just been an issue of where we're putting our time. And in the meantime, we're comfortable recommending it as a variance. And this is really identical to several you have seen before. So we're comfortable recommending it.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone here that present on our virtual screen here that would like to speak to this?
I don't think Mr. Gibson was able to join. I don't know if it was a tech issue or not, but we had talked it through and I told him that we've seen these before. So there wasn't much to explain.
Right. And I appreciate the, again, the reminder of where we've been and hopefully where we're heading with the update on the zoning for that, or the variation request for that, excuse me. So yeah, I agree. I think it doesn't make sense. We're normally asking for more green space and things of that nature. So to ask for more concrete seems counterintuitive to that. So again, any other discussion or questions for staff or anyone else regarding this variation request?
I don't have any questions.
This is Gary, and I do have just a comment. it seems like that we're getting a few of these in to where the concrete has already been put in, and then they find out that they're not doing it correctly according to today's code. Is there any way to get this information to the concrete contractors so that they are not putting these in without getting some sort of a permit on them? Because this one obviously looks like photo wise, it looks like the concrete pad addition there was done after the driveway because they're two different colors.
Greg might have a better idea as to how that might work out in reality.
Yeah, no,
I think.
we can certainly do our best to reach out to the principal concrete contractors that are doing this kind of work. And you're right, Mr. Blakeney, it is. What's tricky about it now is that even though Mercy and I support these and we're headed toward changing the code, as these things start to appear, other folks are just like, well, hey, I'm gonna do what my neighbor did. And so that's how some of these are materializing. And then we have to kind of notify them after the fact. So we should really try and make an effort to try and get this in the form of a code amendment to council at some point soon, so.
I've got a follow-up question then. How does, once this does happen, how are you notified that this has happened and we need to bring it to the board? Is it a neighbor? Is it, another concerned citizen or something, or?
Probably a
I don't
little bit
know,
of
Greg,
both. Actually, probably a little bit of both, because again,
Okay.
our guys are out in the field in these subdivisions that are under construction. They may be well underway to look at something else and all of a sudden drive by and say, oh, crud, we got to address this. So,
Understood.
and then also a neighbor may call and say, hey, I want to do what they did at 312. And we say, well, they're in the process of getting this approved through the zoning board, so you're gonna have to hold tight. So,
Gotcha.
so to answer your question, Mr. Anderson, Mercy and I we just need to bite the bullet and try and get this to, it's just there's some other things we'd like to include, and then it just pretty quickly get off the tracks. And so we'll talk more about it.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion regarding this request?
I will note that there is someone here, a member of the public who's from the Homeowners Association. Her name is Shelley Kerr, and I don't know if you can see her on the screen, but I don't know if she wants to say something either.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mercy. Yes, I actually, the only comment that I have is that in this case, the homeowner didn't
Yep.
request.
Could I put you on pause there just for a moment, if you don't mind, just a formality here. If you would raise your right hand and just affirm that what you're about to tell us is the truth.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. And then if again, you would state your name and your address, please.
My name is Michelle Kerr. I live at 310 Thicket Point in Normal, Illinois.
Thank you. Please.
Okay. My only comment was that in this case, the homeowner did not submit an architectural review form for this. So we were unaware that this was happening until after it was already completed too. So my only comment to the homeowner would be that next time that they make sure they follow the process, and that they also have a shed that's on their property that they're supposed to be moving and it hasn't been moved yet. And that's all we really had from our end.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll just make one little comment. Greg, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but just to be clear, Ms. Kerr, so the town we don't get involved in the HOA issues. So I don't want you to think that after the hearing, we're going to send a letter to them saying to move the sheds. So be sure that you follow up with them on the shed as well.
Oh, we will. I just wanted to
Okay.
mention just in case the
Sure.
notes end up getting to the homeowner.
Oh, sure. No, that's it'll be in the minutes. So that's good.
Perfect.
And
Thank you.
thanks for the comments, Ms. Kerr, because again, welcome to our world a little bit. But it is helpful on occasion if a homeowner or an HOA president we get phone calls from them saying, hey, we have a resident in our subdivision would like to do this, and we can head off some problems in the past, but it doesn't always occur that way. So
Right.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone else that would like to speak regarding this variation request?
This is Gary again, and I don't have my drawing in front of me, but the pad is 3 feet off of the property line.
That is correct. It is, I think it's more than 3 feet off the property
It
line.
is. yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
All right, we will go ahead and close the public portion of this, and then any discussion for staff or comments, concerns, that sort of thing. Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
If no one has any additional comments, I would make a motion that we approve the request from the homeowner. This is Keith.
This is Gary, and I will second that.
Okay, Ms. Davison, if you would call for a vote, please.
Sure. Ms. Brand,
Yes.
Mr. Palmgren,
Yes.
Mr. Penn,
Yes.
Mr. Blakeney,
Yes.
and Mr. Anderson.
Yes. Okay, I know you'll follow up with the homeowners, so I appreciate that. We'll move on to the second item, which is item number 21-06-07-V. It's an accessory structure variance requested 803 North School Street. And again,
Right, so, sorry.
you're ahead of me, but yes, if you would go ahead and give us a little intro to this as well. Thank you.
Sure, sure. So this house is in the Old North Normal Historic District on School Street. And so typically, well, the way it works in a historic district is any changes to the exterior of the property by way of the house or like additional structures have to go through the Historic Preservation Commission. If that change is visible from the public street, it does not count the alley. In this case, this is a mid-block house. Between the house and the existing garage, which is not going to be torn down, you can't see the back end of this property. So there is no historic preservation requirement on this. So you don't need to worry about that. What they want to do is leave the existing garage in place, which does contribute to the historic nature of this property and the same style, the same materials, et cetera. So that will remain unchanged. And then they'd like to build a regular size garage in the backyard off the alley. And so it would be set back off the alley at a similar setback from other garages back there. And that's not an issue. That the code variance issue is that you really can't have 2 detached garages like this. Like you really only get one, and then the second detached structure you have has to be like less than 300 square feet. So in this case, if this variance is approved, you're going to end up with the detached single car garage that's already there, and that's just about 375 square feet. And then you're going to have a second 2-car garage, which is not a particularly large 2-car garage at just under 600 square feet. So the owner submitted some pictures later that I just got, and he just wanted y'all to see that he would be mimicking the style of this existing garage in kind of the roof and the materials. He wants it to look appropriate as well. So I'm just not going to look identical to this, but this is the general flair. This is the backyard where it would be. He doesn't need to remove any trees for it. It'll just tuck nicely back in there. And this is just a similar nearby kind of setup. So, when it comes to historic neighborhoods, we tend to be a little more flexible because the lots are just a little more odd. They're different shapes and dimensions, and then the existing structures are not particularly modern. So we're comfortable supporting this. There's plenty of green space that will be left, and there are several other houses on this block with detached garages in that same vicinity. So we are in support, and the applicant is on the phone if and when you want to speak with him.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And we will go ahead and open up the public portion of that as well. And if they would like to speak, now may be a good time to, if there's anything else they'd like to offer, and then possibly ask or receive some questions from the board. I'll say it that way.
So Mr.
think
Hess-
If,
Oh, good.
Go ahead.
Okay, we can hear you.
okay, and if
Okay.
you would, again, if you could just please state your name and your address, please, just for the record, just so we can get it on the record here.
Sure, it's Kevin Hussey, 803 North School Street, Illinois.
Okay, and although we can't see you, if you would please raise your right hand and just affirm that what you're about to tell us is the truth. We appreciate that.
Not a problem. It is the truth, yes.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay, I think she explained everything as I would, that the new garage is going to look like the existing garage, except it's going to be a 24 by 24, 2.5 car garage, single story. It's going to have the exact roof line, same shingles, lap siding, painted yellow like the house with white trim. The garage company said they had no problems doing it. It's going to cost me a little extra to mimic the roof line, but we figured it would really look nice if we did it that way. And we're 5 foot off the fence line, so our neighbors don't have anything to worry about because we own that fence there. And so we're going to leave the fence. It's not going to be torn down or anything. The only part of the fence that comes down is the part that has access to the alley. And basically, we're going to keep it about 10 feet off the alley to keep symmetry with the neighboring garages in the area. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Please hold on. We may have some questions for you, though. Any board members have any questions for Mr. Hussey? We're not
Don't
seeing
see
it.
any hands going up.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you. We will go ahead and close the public. Oh, is there anybody else that would like to speak regarding this variance?
Nobody is here to speak about this.
Okay, thank you. We will go ahead and close the public portion then. Any questions for staff? And normally we just ask if have we heard from any other neighbors with concerns regarding this? Or
I heard from one neighbor, he was not concerned, but he was going to testify, and then he decided he wasn't going to. So I didn't hear from anyone else.
okay, all right, thank you.
This
Go ahead.
is Gary. I did not drive down the alley, but I'm assuming that there are enough of these detached garages back there that there would not be any future vacating of that alley.
Oh no, yeah, there are too many people take access off of that alley. So this is the alley here, and you can see there's a garage here, there. It's quite a few. Not everybody, but quite a few.
But there are several that is their only access because the terrain coming off of School Street in some of those locations is really steep, almost impossible to get a curb cut through.
Yeah. I'm very familiar with the neighborhood and certainly walk up and down that block, and have certainly walked the alley, not just for this, but for other reasons, just out for walks. So yeah, it's very common to see these structures on the alley, and yeah, and as Mr. Tremmel said, that sometimes that's the only way to have a garage for a house that's on that block. Any other questions or comments? I'd entertain a motion.
This is Gary, and I'll make a motion that we accept the variance as requested.
This is Corinne. I'll second the motion.
And then if you would call for a vote, please.
Sure. Mr. Palmgren,
Yes.
Mr. Penn,
Yes.
Ms. Brand,
Yes.
Mr. Blakeney,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes. Variation request has been approved. And so continue to work with the town regarding the construction of the new garage. I'm going to add one other thing too, just since I do walk around the neighborhood there. You do a great job with your landscaping and that sort of thing. I'm glad that you're going to keep the same roof line and all of that for the structure back there. So thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you very much. I go out of my way to try to make it look as best as possible. So,
It shows.
okay. From here on out, should I just have my contractor get a hold of the guys to start building then?
That is correct. Yes, you can go ahead and do that. And then you
I will-
don't have to stay on the line. You can hang up if you want after you're done with your questions. You don't have to stick around if you don't want.
Okay, yeah, that was my next question. I think I'm just going to hang up then, and thank you guys very much.
You're welcome.
Sure. Thanks for joining.
All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, the next item on our agenda is item number 21-06-08-V. It's a corner side yard setback located at 1020 Meadowlark. And then again, Ms. Davison, if you don't mind giving us the backstory here on some of this.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do that. And the homeowner is here as well to fill in the blanks when I'm done if you'd like. So this property is on the corner, as you can see on the picture. It has an existing privacy fence. She would like to install an in-ground swimming pool on the south half of her yard, which is basically the part closer to the fence. For a variety of reasons, I guess the most important being she runs a home daycare, and the way her backyard lays out, it would be best if the pool could be on the south side. All the kids' play stuff could be on the north side, and then you could just put a fence between those two things per DCFS requirements and our requirements that you have an in-ground pool, safely fenced off. She did provide a drawing. Here's my rudimentary aerial drawing, which pool would go here. You can see this is the play set, and I think the patio doors are somewhere over here so that if the pool is segregated off down here, it basically just doesn't interfere with the operation of the daycare. And she provided a little layout, which I think I should probably rotate it, but that will kind of mess everything up. So you can just picture north is this way. But the pool would go down here. It would still be screened behind the existing fence, but per code, because this is a corner side yard, the pool should be 25 feet off of the property line, and it would be more like 15 feet off the property line. So the pool by code would need to move north, in which case it would probably have to be reoriented completely, and it would just be more complicated. It does meet the setback from the rear property line. So I think those are the highlights, Greg. Does that kind of capture it?
Yeah, that's good. Yep.
Okay.
All right, thank
Oh,
you.
yeah, sure.
And you did mention that the homeowner is present for comments and conversation, that sort of thing.
Indeed.
If so, okay, great. If you would go ahead and state your name and your address, please.
Hi, yes, I'm Dara Deppert McCoy, and my address is 1020 Meadowlark Road in Normal.
Thank you. And then again, if you would just raise your right hand and just affirm that what you're about to tell us is the truth.
Yes.
Thank you. Please.
Well, first, thank you for allowing me to be here and to request this variance. First, I want to point out that the aerial drawing that's up right now, we have completed the entire privacy backyard is fenced in now. That was done and completed in April. So the white fence is already, the whole backyard is fenced in, just so you're aware of that.
Okay.
Start with. Yes, I do run an in-home daycare. I left teaching in Unit 5 years ago to start a Christian preschool, licensed as an in-home daycare. We have 12 to 16 kids in our home every day, according to guidelines. And the whole reason I'm asking for this variance is so that the pool could be located on this section of the yard. As you can see in that aerial picture, we've always had a trampoline on the premises. Daycare children have never been allowed to use that by all requirements. DCFS doesn't allow it, insurance doesn't allow it. So they really have never played on this side of the yard. So they're very used to not playing on this side of the yard. So if we could locate the pool there, and then by DCFS guidelines, I have to have an additional 5-foot fence surrounding the pool area. And yes, I would take it from the side of the, right where I think Ms. Davison's showing with the cursor, put the fence right along the side of the patio and then straight back to the back lot line where the fence is now. That patio area is really important for the daycare because that's where they ride their tricycles and the wagon and jump rope and sidewalk chalk. So I definitely need them to still have access to that full area of the back patio. So even like when the weather is really, really rainy and the grassy area is too muddy and wet to be out on, we can still always be in that back patio area. So if this variance isn't allowed, the pool is going to have to go basically where that swing set is currently located. And then a new swing set would have to be erected where that pool is shown, where we're hoping it could go. If that all has to transpire, the swing set then where that pool is being shown is not as visible from inside the house. Now I have a full-time assistant at all times on the premises. So when the kids are playing, one of us is always outside with them. But I can be a second pair of eyes for supervision when I'm in the house. If I have to go in, if one of the kids scrapes their knee and I have to go in to bandage them up, if one of them has to go in for the bathroom and I go in with them, I can still see the play set area, the full patio from my inside my house. If the swing set has to be moved way over to the south portion of the yard, I will not be able to see even the swing set area from inside that my grand room with the patio in the kitchen. I will not be able to see that as well as I can now, because I can even see it from my front door hallway when I go to get the parents as they come to pick them up. So again, the main reason I'm asking for this variance is due to the fact that I run this daycare in my home. If I didn't do that with my grown children, I may prefer to have that pool right in the middle of my backyard, but not with the daycare. So that's why I'm asking for this variance.
Okay. So again, just to make sure I understand this, where the pool, where the desired location right now, the pool is, you're saying the visibility from inside the house is much greater there than if it was relocated somewhere else in the backyard. Is that?
The pool is going to be for personal use. The daycare, I need the visibility of the swing set and the patio from the house. If pool is not allowed to go where it is shown on that aerial view, and if the variance isn't allowed, then I'm going to have to put the pool, I try to draw it out. Well, I don't have a very good, but anyway, I can hold this up here. I'd have to put the pool where the swing set is, and it would have to go this way.
Okay.
Then the current swing set would have to go over here. And that's my issue, is I won't be able to see them playing on the swing set very well over here from inside my house, my patio area. Does that kind of make sense now?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I just had it flip-flop, so
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any other questions for Ms. McCoy? I want to also say that I assume that should this be granted, and that a new 5-foot fence goes around the perimeter of the pool, my assumption is that's going to be locked. That's, or we'll have some sort of a locking mechanism.
Absolutely. It has to be self-closing and a locked gate. Yes, that would follow all the DCFS guidelines. And I have talked to the DCFS rep to make sure. I will also be installing an automatic pool cover for added safety for the pool. So there'll be a couple layers of protection.
Okay.
Todd, I have a question.
Oh, please. Yes.
So on the drawing where the pool currently is, to that gap between the blue corner and where your sidewalk ends, how big of a gap is that? Or what are you anticipating?
That is approximately, let me double check on my measurements. About 6 feet, I believe. I would have to go back out and double check. I did not mark that right on my drawing there, did I?
So you have
it's
some
there, but I'd have to figure that out.
It's approximately 6 feet. So you have some wiggle room if we needed to move the pool a little bit closer to the patio, correct?
We could go a little bit closer, yes.
Okay.
I mean, again, I'd like to put in, Ms. Davison I have, again, let me get my drawing. The fence would go along, let me orient this, I guess, the way you got it. Which way is it? No, this way. Sorry.
Opposite, yeah.
Okay. So the, along the edge of the patio would run, yeah, would run the extra fence and then maybe up just a smidge and then straight over.
Okay.
So then there would be a gate here to get into there. And so, yeah, whatever we need to have here, so at least we can walk around that pool area, and then lounge, I was figuring might go here. Does that answer your question?
Understand.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions for Ms. McCoy? Okay,
No, but there is a member of the public here who I believe may want to say something. I don't know if you
Okay.
can see him.
I cannot, but thank you, Ms. McCoy, I appreciate it. Again, anybody else that would like to speak with regards to this variation request, if you could just let us know that you're here and would like to.
Oh, wait, you're still on mute, Mr. Malikan. Let's see. Oh, no, I can't hear you now, although I wonder if the space bar trick would work. I feel a little bit like I'm on
there
a
we
ship in a stormy sea. Okay,
How are we now?
Yes.
we can hear you.
Okay. I just support.
Just one moment before you get
Oh,
started.
sure.
Thank you. If you would state your name and your address, please.
Yes, Donald Melican, 1080 Meadow Lark.
Thank
Normal.
you. And then if you would raise your right hand and just affirm what you're about to tell us is truth.
I do so.
Thank you. Please.
Okay, I just support Mrs. McCoy. I've lived next to her for 5 houses down, for about 17 or 18 years. My great grandson went there for a year, and I thought it was a terrific experience. They walk by my house virtually every day that the weather's nice. And then now that the path behind her to the east is completed, I see them going both ways. She's always in control. She's concerned about their safety. They're hippity hoppity having a good time. I can just affirm that she would take good care of them. Oh, before that, every time I walked by her house, there was always at least one adult in the backyard with them. So she's right. Kids are never left alone. And other than that, I think she pretty well covered everything else. I just support it as a neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Malikan? Okay, thank you. Do we have any other folks that are present that would like to speak to this variation request?
No.
Okay, thank you. And just out of normal course, well, I'll go ahead and close the public portion of this right now, but have we had any other folks in the area that have voiced an opinion one way or another with regards to this request?
No, I mean, people just called like they always do to ask what was going on, and then
Mm-hmm.
they didn't seem to have an opinion.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other comments or questions from board for staff?
No.
Okay.
And as I guess the only thing I'd add in the end is, I mean, as you can tell, no one's going to be able to see this.
Right.
It'll be behind that fence. So
I would entertain a motion if anyone would like to do so.
I move that we approve the variance as requested.
This is Keith. I can second that.
Thank you. Ms. Davison, if you would call for a vote, please.
sure. Mr. Blakeney,
Yes.
Ms. Brand,
Yes.
Mr. Penn,
Yes.
Mr. Palmgren,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes. Variation request has been approved. So if you'd like to continue to work with the town with regards to the construction as described, then that's all you need to do. Okay, that is the last variation request that we have on our agenda. Do we have any other items for the good of the group?
No, just to say that we will be meeting in person henceforth.
Great.
And are we meeting next month? Have you had anything sent for July?
I have not seen anything yet, but you know what? We might even be past the filing deadline. So I'll email you tomorrow and let you know. Or Greg, are you aware of anything?
I don't think we did have anything filed.
Okay, I'll email tomorrow though.
All right, thank you. I don't know if anybody realized this, but on the last item there, that was the first time I've ever heard hippity hoppity mentioned in this, this meeting. So I just thought I'd point that out as something I noticed.
It's a technical term.
Right.
I also noticed it. I'm gonna incorporate into a report sometime soon.
Perfect. All right. Again, anything else for the good of the group? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
And if you would call for a vote, please.
Sure, Mr. Blakeney,
Yes.
Ms. Brand,
Yes.
Mr. Penn,
Yes.
Mr. Palmgren,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes. You all have a wonderful evening and stay cool this weekend. It's going to be pretty toasty out there.
And happy Father's Day to all of those on the line.
Yes, yes.
Indeed.
You
Happy
as
4th
well.
of July. We won't see you until
Oh,
after that.
that's right. Yep. Happy
Let's go blow
4th.
something up this year. Yeah. Does the town get to have a 4th? They're having it, aren't they? I thought I saw that at the station.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, that just reminded me, I do have a question. And really it probably, and we adjourned, but this is not really specific to anything other than the historic district. Now, does it matter? Does the age of the house matter? Or is it just or it's more the location? If you're located in a historic district, you need to follow and comply with those, or does it matter? Does the age of the house have a bearing on any of that?
Both matter, but if your house is after 1945, like newer than that, you don't have to go through the same meeting. You can just get things approved expedited and you can use modern materials and stuff. So,
Okay,
so
so
it's a little
okay, so
it's less restrictive.
it's historic light, so to speak, then I guess.
It is indeed.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I was just kind of curious, so.
Yep.
But thank you. All right, again, everybody have a nice evening. Take care.
You too. Thanks,
Thank
Todd.
Okay.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.